So Darkslay had asked me how to create a health and stamina bar. Now originally I was just going to make a quick little video on it, but I thought it might be a little bit more interesting to showcase my approach to how I deal with it. So the very first thing I do is I create a little document that tells exactly what this object is supposed to do. So let's take a look at the overview. Design and develop a health and stamina bar that can be used in a myriad of game types. The health and stamina bar should be modular and usable where appropriate. The health bar is a representation of the player and enemy health. It stores and updates the current health information to be able to display it on the screen. The stamina bar is a representation of the player character's energy for running, climbing, or other extraneous tasks. The main idea is to make the health and stamina separate entities from the player object so it can be modularly used in different forms, such as for both player and enemies. To do this, the design of the health and stamina systems need to be carefully considered. We can make them classes and then inherit from them, but then we run into issues with multiple inheritance. We can make them interfaces, which means we would need to re-implement them for each class that needs them. We could go the route of an abstract class, but again has similar issues to a standard class approach. We could build it inside of the player class, but then it would be tightly coupled to the player object, to which would go against the modular design idea. That leaves another option, struct. We can house the data and functions within the struct and instantiate it within the classes that need it. With that approach, we can make the functions and parameters be as generic as possible, as well as make sure it is usable in many contexts. So, I'm going to kill my dog, figuratively. Okay. They love fighting.
You're on it.
Go lay down. Yeah, lay down right there, right at my feet. That's fine. That's fine. Lay down, lay down, lay down, Bob. Trying to do a live stream. And every time I start the stream, you like to show your ass and be loud as hell. So, where was I? Oh, yes. So then, after I made this little document, I was like, well, now I should showcase how I design the idea in my head. Because this is just words right now. There needs to be something a little more concrete. So what I did was I ended up creating a UML diagram. So we can see here, struct, starting health, which is a private integer, current health, which is a public integer. Now, in reality, both of these are going to be private. And the reason being is we don't want to expose things from the struct that doesn't need to be exposed. Then we have a function called take damage. It takes a parameter of an integer and is of type void. And finally, we have a health tracker function that's of type string. We look over to the struct, and it's basically the same thing, starting stamina, current stamina, both of them being private integer values. And then a function called reduce stamina takes an integer value and is void, and stamina tracker. And then we can see the class player takes these functions and uses them. Now, I went a little bit more advanced. You can see is damaged, is dead. We're actually not going to use these for this particular example. We have player health, which is private health, so calling that struct. Player stamina, private stamina, again calling the struct. And we have a health text and stamina text, both of them being text objects that can be displayed on the screen, showcasing that it works. And then we have 4 functions within the player class. Start being a private void, player damage, private void, player run, private void, and update, private void. So now that I have this UML diagram, I could then think of how I wanted to actually build the code. So why don't we jump right into that? So what we're going to do is we're actually going to create 2 scenes and 2 folders, or 3 folders. So we're going to call this folder scripts. Then inside the folder, we're going to have basic example, and then advanced example. There we go, and I like this to be like that. There we go. So now let's go ahead and create our 2 scenes. We're going to delete the scene. Let's create a scene called basic, and then advanced. Where did scene go? There it is. And it's not really advanced, as more intermediate that we're going to go with. Do I have a notification? No, that's from the Salesforce Discord. Okay, so let's go ahead and open the basic. Don't save that. There we go. So we're going to create a UI, and it's going to have a text. And I need to be able to see it. Font size, let's make it 55. Width is going to be 220. Height is going to be, I think, 75. Yeah. Let's make this be at the Y position of, yeah, 115 sounds good. And then we're just going to duplicate that text, and then it's going to be set at 0. There we go. So we're going to call this one stamina, or actually stamina text. Stamina text. And this one's going to be health text. Booyah. We can go ahead and save this. And you know what? We should probably... No, I'm going to be a little cheeky here and basically just create a prefab of it, open up the advanced scene, and save that. Go back over to assets, drag it over, and we also need the event system. There it is. Okay, so everything's all there. We can save this, and we can go ahead and delete that prefab. We don't need it anymore. Yeah, that's fine, that's fine. Let's go back over to scenes and basic. You don't need a prefab. Are you kidding me? I completely broke it. Fine, whatever. Not like it's difficult to create anyways. 220, and what was this, 75? Position was 115, and 0, and the font size was 55. Health text, boom. Let's duplicate it, and this one will be stamina text. Try to be lazy and it fails you. Alright, save it, go back to advanced, and we're just going to fix that really quick. Just to make sure we have everything all set up, so all we have to do is write the code. Help text 220. What did I say? 75. 0. 115. Font size 55. Boom. Duplicate. Stamina text. 0. Boom. Done. Okay. Now, let's go into the basic example. I'm going to create 3 scripts. Basic health, basic stamina. Come on, computer. You can do it. There you go. Damn it. No, delete it. Let's try it again. C# script. Come on, computer. You dick. Basic stamina. And now we're going to have basic player. Boom. Those are our 3 scripts. And the only one that's going to be attached to, let's throw it on the camera. Doesn't really matter where it's thrown onto. But the main camera will just have the basic player script. Save it. And let's go ahead and open it up in, let's open it in Visual Studio. Please tell me I didn't keep my mic muted. Please tell me I didn't keep my mic muted. Okay, cool. Sorry for those of you that heard that back to back. Alright, let's increase the size of this a little bit. So what we're going to do here is we are going to remove everything. Boom. Booyah. Public struct. Doesn't need to inherit from anything. Where the hell are the... Okay, why is my Visual Studio window all screwed up? Wrong one. It's been a while since I've had to use Visual Studio. Solution Explorer, there we go. Why do I not have a Solution Explorer? Why don't I have a solution? Unity, did you screw up? I'm going to say yes. So, let's see, preferences, general. Nope. Yes, Visual Studio 2019. Generate all CS project files. Okay. Oh, that's kind of showing it a little bit more than what I wanted. Okay, yeah, fine, whatever. We're good. We're good. Okay, so the first thing we need to do, as defined in that UML, was private int starting health. Boom. So it's a starting health value. And then private int current health, which will store our current health value. Now we need a function that will set the health as soon as it's called. So the easiest way we can do this is create a public void set the health function that takes an integer value of amount. Now what this is going to do is basically set the starting health to be the value of amount. And then we're going to set the current health to be the value of starting health. Very easy. Straight to the point, simple. So basically, when we call this basic health function in, or this set health function from the basic health class struct, and put it in the basic player class, we'll be able to set this value that can be tracked. Cool? Cool. I don't need that output. Alright, so next up, we need to be able to remove health. So let's call this public void take damage. And let's give it an int parameter with the value, or the value being called amount. Same thing. So we want to be able to remove health. So let's go if current health is greater than 0, underscore current health minus equal amount. Else current health equals 0, or it's set to 0. That way we don't go below 0. In theory, anyways. There's always some random bug that can pop up. So now, finally, we need that health tracker. We want to be able to display this on the screen and actually track it ourselves. So we can do public string health tracker, no parameters, and we want to return underscore current health to string. Simple, straight to the point. All we're doing is casting the integer value of current health to string. That way it makes that value accessible even though it's private. Pretty cool, right? I think so. So now, let's move on to the basic stamina. Again, we can delete pretty much everything. We only want to keep using Unity Engine. There we go. Struct, and every time, basic stamina. No, we don't need mono behavior. Alright, boom. Basically, we're going to start off the same as we did with the health. So, private float instead of integer, underscore starting stamina, and private float underscore current stamina. Now, you might be thinking, Jessica, why do we want float values instead of integer values? Well, the main reason is due to most of the time when it comes to like stamina versus health, health is usually represented by whole numbers, whereas stamina takes longer and is represented by floating point values or decimals. So it could start off with a base value of 100 and remove, say, 0.25 from it every second that the run button is pressed. So that's why we want to go with float instead of integer. And again, we need to set the initial stamina value, so let's go ahead and create a public void set stamina integer amount. I know it's a little confusing, but I'm setting the integer amount because most of the time whenever you see a stamina bar, the base value is always a whole number, like starting off at 100, 200, 500, 150. So we want that base value to be a whole number so that way it's less confusing. Alright, so starting stamina is set to be amount, and then current stamina is set to starting amount, or starting stamina. Boom. Super easy, barely an inconvenience. And again, we need to essentially have a way to lose stamina. So we can do public void reduce stamina, and let's give it an integer amount, And now what we're going to do is current stamina is set to be mathf.clamp. So we're clamping the values to be between these two. So current stamina minus, here's the fun part, amount time, can you math? No. Time that delta time. So what we're doing is, first we're taking the amount that we're getting from the reduced stamina, multiplying that by time.delta time, then we can subtract it from the current stamina amount. And yeah, that's good. Okay, so the minimum value is going to be 0.0 float, and then the max stamina is going to be starting stamina. So that's the max value. So minimum value, max value. And we're clamping it between those two values. So this equation here cannot be above or below 0.0 or whatever the starting stamina amount is. All right, cool. Now, again, we need to be able to track it. So public string stamina tracker return underscore current stamina to string. Basically taking that float value of current stamina and passing it to be a string value. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Now we can move on to basic player. And with this, all we want is using Unity Engine and using Unity Engine.ui. I'm just gonna go ahead and delete these. There. So we need a private basic health. We're gonna call it player health. Set to be, not minus, set to be new basic health. Initializing the struct. And let's do the same thing for basic stamina. Player stamina, set to be new basic stamina. Boom. Initialize both of the structs. Now we can also create our text fields that we're going to display this on. So public text health text, and then public text stamina text. There you go. So now we need a start method, so I'm just going to type void start and let it create it for me. So what I'm going to do is player health dot set health, and I'm going to set that to be 100. Now player stamina, set stamina. Again, let's make it easy and make the value be 100. Void function called player damage. And basically all this function is going to do is just call the player health take damage, and we can set an arbitrary value. Let's set 10. And then let's do another one for reducing stamina. So let's call this player run. And it's going to be player stamina. There we go. Reduce stamina. And let's reduce it by 10. Why not? And now for the fun part. We are going to create the update function. There we go. If input.get key down, key code space. And let's do player damaged. Pretty easy and straightforward on what's going on here. So we're just checking to see if that key has been pressed, and if it has, damage the player. Now let's also do if input.get key. We want this to be able to run for frame time, so key code, let's go with A. Yeah. Now we're going to do player run. Same principle. If the A key has been pressed and held, reduce the stamina. Now let's do health text.text is set to be current health plus underscore player health tracker. Oh yeah. And then let's do stamina text equals current stamina plus underscore player stamina tracker. There we go. Yeah, I kind of want it to be capitalized. And there we go. That's the full source code. There we go. That makes it a little bit easier to track and read. So now we can just save this, minus this down, and we should be on the basic. Yes, we are. Cool. So I don't have to do anything except for health text. Boom. Stamina text. Boom. Run it. I think we're going to need a bigger box. I think that should work. 300? No. What size does it need to be? 450? No. 550? There we go. Okay. Kind of helps if you use the same text that you used before. Same text sizes to use before. So we're changing the width of the health and stamina to be 550. I should probably go ahead and do that in the advanced scene. Okay, back to basics. Okay, so health text and stamina text has been set, so let's go ahead and look at it. Now, current health 100, current stamina 100. Press the spacebar. I can hold the spacebar, and it's just going to be reducing by 1. Now, what just happened to? Oh yeah, son of a bitch. Because I didn't round it, I gotta make it bigger. 850. So now, yeah, there we go. So I can hold the A button and it'll decrement by 10. Then just lightly press it, hold it, and it will not go any lower. Let's see, what about current health? Current health will not go any lower than 0. There we go. So I'm going to fix those really quickly. 850, 850, there we go. That way it aligns a little better. So, boom. I know, pretty basic, but let's get ready to go into the more advanced example. So I'm going to switch over to the advanced, and I'm actually going to change those widths to be 850. There we go. Now let's go into the advanced script. And what we are going to do here is we are going to create 2 classes. So the first class is going to be stamina health base class, or stamina health base, UDIC. Yes, reload. Thank you. And the next one is going to be player character. Boom. So now we can close out the basics. So the stamina health base class, this is going to be a more advanced version. I would say it's actually more intermediate level programming because you're using more features of the actual language itself, or the actual programming language of C#. So what's going to happen here is we're going to take the health and stamina stuff and kind of make it one single class. And then we are also going to make it an abstract class that inherits from mono behavior, which means our player character class cannot inherit from mono behavior, but that's fine. It's a little trick that I believe I showcased in a video a long time ago. It's like a year or two ago about using abstract classes and interfaces. So let's just go ahead and work on it. So public abstract class, stamina health base class. We're actually not going to use the void start or update functions. So let's create a private int, call it starting health, private int current health. So basically the same as what we did with the basic health class, and then private float starting stamina, private float current stamina. Boom. Basically the same thing as those two classes. Now, there is a big reason why we're going this route. One, we had repeated variables, repeated functions for the most part. So did we really need separate classes for that? No, we could do it all in one. But don't just throw features of a language into something and think that just because it's part of the language that you need to do it. You use the right tool for the right job, or the right tool for the job. So let's start off with setting the health and stamina. So public void set health stamina values. And we're going to call this, we're going to take the int of health amount. Can I spell? No. And int stamina amount. Boom. So starting health set to health amount. Starting stamina set to stamina amount. So same thing as before. Then current health is set to starting health. Current stamina is set to starting stamina. Same thing as we did before, compressed down into a single function. A lot better, a lot more useful. Alright, so now let's move on to the take damage and reduce stamina functions. Basically the same thing as they were originally. So public void take damage int amount, and also public void reduce stamina int amount. Same functions as before. So what we're going to do here is underscore current health, not stamina, thank you, is minus equals amount. Done. or negative set to. And then current stamina set to be math.clamp underscore current stamina minus the amount times time dot delta time. Boom, 0.0 float, starting stamina. We got a comma. Boom. There we go. Now moving on, health and stamina tracker, public string health tracker, and public string stamina tracker. Return current health to string. Return current stamina to string. Okay, and now we are done. Now let's move on to the player character class. And basically it's going to be the same. The only difference is we don't really have to worry about too much in terms of properties. So instead, we are going to, instead of inheriting from mono behavior, it's going to inherit from the stamina health base class, which gives us access to everything that's public. So now we can create our public text. Yeah, fuck you. Using UnityEngine.ui. Okay, so now leave me the hell alone. Public text. Health text. Public text. Stamina text. Now we're going to do our start method. Set health stamina values 100, 100. Boom. Private void player damaged. And now it's basically a repeat of everything before. Private void player run. Void update. There. Sorry. So player damage, take damage 10. Player run is going to be reduce stamina 10. And again, going to be if input.get key down, key code space, do something, if input.get key, keycode.a, do something, health text.text is set to be current health plus health tracker, stamina text.text is set to be current stamina, there, stamina tracker. So you're seeing how this can be a little more useful and easy to work with, because instead of having to call stamina health base dot set health stamina values, we're just calling that directly there. We still have access to everything from mono behavior because the stamina health base class inherits from mono behavior. I need to fill these out. So player damaged. Oops. Player damaged. And then So you can see how it's useful. You're not having to explicitly say, okay, this comes from this class, so on and so forth. And you have access to mono behaviors with the player character class. So let's go ahead and pull Unity back up. We're in the advanced one. So let's go ahead and, since I haven't attached anything yet, let's see what happens if we were to try to attach the stamina health base class. You can't add the script behavior, stamina health base. The script class can't be abstract. Blah, I need to speak more English. Now, what it's saying is you can't use abstract classes. You can't use interfaces to directly attach, even if they inherit from mono behavior. Boom. But we can with this, even though it doesn't directly inherit from mono behavior. And this is also a form of multiple inheritance, but it's not the, what's the best way to put it? It's not the bad kind, because it's not a circular inheritance issue. In certain languages that allow for multiple inheritance, you can run into issues where you basically do a circular reference and then it's hard to track anything. So you could have, so to basically explain that a little bit more, you can create a parent class and then a child class and then a subchild class. That subchild class could inherit from the parent, or let me think, how does it work for multiple inheritance? So you have parent, child, child. So yeah, so that child, the third child of that parent object, it can inherit from both the secondary child and from the parent itself. So it's basically pulling in redundant information. It's very confusing, very difficult to explain, which is why most of the time when people explain it, they have some sort of infographic to show you on it. But in either case. So now we have the health text all set up, the player character. Let's go ahead and save this advanced scene and press play. So press the space bar and again only goes down by 10 and oops, I didn't add the guard. But that's what happens when you don't add the guard, saying okay, if it's not greater than 0, so integer can just go into the negatives. And again with the current stamina, we can press and hold A, and floated values themselves have a guard to where it won't automatically go into the negatives. Or, sorry, that's not true. No, it's because we clamped it. Oh, I need more coffee. I can't believe I said wrong information. This is why I script the videos out. But because we clamped the values, let's go back to the stamina health base. The math up clamp, it cannot go below this amount and it cannot go above this amount. So it can't go above 100, can't go below 0. So let's go ahead and fix the health code real quick. If underscore current health is greater than 0, else, wow, else current health is set to 0. There we go, that should fix that, and pull it back up. Going down, going down, going down, boom, cannot go below 0. Which you can also just set it to be, for this instance, player, if it does, then the character is dead. If you had the Boolean is dead, then that's how you set that to true. Otherwise, it's set to false. That's how you track whether a character is alive or dead. Pretty easy, pretty self-explanatory. There are other ways to go about doing this. These are not two mutually exclusive ways of handling health bars or health in general. So typically, when tracking health and stamina, there's a myriad of ways you can go about doing it. I just showed two, one which is a little more advanced and uses more features of C#, and the other is a pretty basic, okay, I need to solve this problem. Here's a basic, easy way to go about it without breaking the brain and without being overcomplicated with the solution. Alright, so that should answer Dark Slay's question about how to implement a health and stamina bar. If any of you watching now or in the future have any questions, feel free to tag me on Twitter at GameDevMadeEasy. Ask me your questions and maybe I'll do a video or live stream about it. So be sure to give this video a thumbs up when it goes out on YouTube. Subscribe if you haven't already. And follow me on Twitch. You're watching me now or later, so might as well. Twitch at GameDevMadeEasy. This has been Justco, and I'm signing out.